fracturing and lining began in California. And the most important thing is that how hydraulic fracturing poses serious risks to the health and safety of communities. And like you said before, hydraulic fracturing causes harm to people, and that there have been studies done in Pennsylvania where hydraulic fracturing is very well known and it's very popular. And a study conducted by AccuWeather states that near Marcellus Shale fracking site, there were people who were exposed to toxic exposure and they displayed symptoms. And 27 of these people displayed possible symptoms of poisoning, including rashes and irritations. And this was after the fracking began in the Marcellus Shale, Pennsylvania. And although there's no evidence to prove that fracking is the only sole responsible reason for these toxic exposures, there are many other events where these outbreaks have occurred in cities nearby hydraulic fracking sites. And hydraulic fracturing actually has adverse health effects. And as Mike Milka said from Java Network, he said that a Pennsylvania study looked at 41 products used in fracturing operations and found that 73% had between 6 and 14 different adverse health effects, and these included skin, eye, and sensory, organ damage, respiratory distress, and such as asthma, gastrointestinal tract and liver disease, brain and nervous system harms, cancers, and negative reproductive effects. And this shows that the products that are inside these hydraulic fracturings are very negative for our health, and it could cause a lot of cancer and diseases. And the fluid chemicals that are used in fracturing are actually really toxic to humans and wildlife. And in the Freedom of Information Act by Schellenberg, he states that many fracturing fluids chemicals are known to be toxic to humans and wildlife and are also known to cause cancer. Potentially toxic substances include petroleum distillates such as kerosene and diesel fuel, which contain benzene, xylene, and all these other chemicals. And while these are many carcinogenic substances, the hydraulic fracturing companies claim that their operations are safe and will not be of risk to people and the environment. And I noticed that the negative claimed that even though there are chemicals used in hydraulic fracturing, he stated that the amount is really little compared to. He said that the amount is very little. They don't actually use a lot of chemicals, and I found that the oil and gas industry trade groups are quick to point out that the chemicals typically make up just only 0.5 and 2% of the total volume of the fracturing fluid. But when it's put into perspective, that's actually a very large amount because millions of gallons of water are used during hydraulic fracturing. So for example, if 4 million gallons of water was used in a fracturing operation, there would be 80 to 300 tons of chemicals. So if you put it into perspective, that's actually a lot of chemicals. And hydraulic fracturing is actually really harmful to the environment, such as earthquakes. And I heard that the negative stated that the earthquakes that happen due to hydraulic fracturing is just really small and it won't really matter. But then if hydraulic fracturing continues and it expands, the earthquakes caused by hydraulic fracturing will just continue to increase, and in the long run they'll become worse and worse. And especially in California is already a high seismic area where it's known to be an earthquake state. And even without hydraulic fracturing, there's a lot of earthquakes that occur in California. So if hydraulic fracturing enters California and increases, there will even be more severe earthquakes. And that's what a lot of the environmentalists are fearing because California is already a high seismic active area. And fracking is harmful to the environment because of the methane, and although the negative stated that methane is not really that severe and it won't be that negative, I found out that in an article called 7 Reasons Against Fracking has proven to be linked to important leaks of methane, and it's actually 23 times more potent than greenhouse gas and carbon dioxide. And I found that fracking is actually more harmful to the environment than global warming and other environmental dangers. And the harmful chemicals in hydraulic fracturing can also enter into the atmosphere and the air. And even though it's mixed inside the water, once it's poured into underground, the University of Pittsburgh Center for Healthy Environments and Communities found that organic compounds brought to the surface in the fractured flowback or produced water often go into open appellants and where volatile organic chemicals can outgas into the air. So while they're being entered underground, the chemicals return back to the surface and they actually affect the air and the air around us, which can also make the air toxic, and the chemicals that are used in hydraulic fracturing can enter our atmosphere.